Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. A couple hours ago, I shared the post that's on your screen on social media platform X. I wrote, "If anyone wants some of my XRP, I'll be willing to sell some of it to you when it's about $5. Now, if you've been in tune with what's going on in the XRP ecosystem and following what's happening in terms of price performance, market performance, then you might be reading that and thinking, that's too low of a price. You might be thinking, that's way too conservative, and I'll cede the point, you could be right. I'm not making a price prediction, mind you. I'm admitting I do not know where the price is going to go. I'm not a chart guy. But if you want to just hear what my gut feeling is after being in the crypto space for nearly 7 years and seeing how coins can just rocket off in this ecosystem, especially when they've consolidated for a meaningful amount of time, and especially in a bull market, and knowing how much money is currently in XRP, yeah, I mean, the idea of XRP going much higher than that certainly doesn't seem crazy to me. And by the way, the reason that I said about $5 is where I'd be willing to start selling some of my XRP, it's for a very simple reason, because I'm going to scale out as the price goes higher. That's my intention anyway, as long as the higher prices present themselves. But I'm thinking about selling, maybe, depending on what the price is, even if I sell a little less than $5, I just maybe sell 5, maybe 6% of my total XRP holding, just 5 or 6%. And the reason is, if I sell roughly at that price, even if it's $4.50 or somewhere around there, somewhere in that neighborhood, I will have recouped my entire investment in XRP. And I bought into XRP dollar cost average for a number of years with some larger purchases towards the end of my accumulation of XRP. And so even at that price, anywhere around there, roughly 5 to 6% of my XRP, I'm covered. And then I can start scaling out as higher prices come. And that's assuming that they do. Now, I'm optimistic that we're going to see this so long as we see, an actual alt season here. And I'm optimistic. I think that that's what's most probable. It's not guaranteed, but that's what I think is probable here. But on the flip side, people who haven't been following XRP chart activity will think that my statement there about selling XRP at $5, many people that don't know what the hell's going on, they're going to have a knee-jerk reaction, and they'll think that my statement is absurd. They'll think there's no chance XRP is going to go that high. And of course, that's silly for multiple reasons, including the fact that XRP has already been proving its strength for over 3 months. Yet almost nobody knows that. And so I'm hoping that the vast majority of you listening do know that. But XRP, as I keep repeating for good reason, because I want everyone to know, XRP has been performing almost all other top 100 coins for over 3 months. It's truly stunning. This is uncharacteristic of XRP, but maybe we shouldn't be surprised. XRP was attacked by the SEC for multiple years. It also, in 2017, had an 80,000% price increase. So the fact that it had to get back down to some sort of bare bones level in consolidation, I guess it's not that crazy. I mean, XRP was literally the best performer for that 2017 bull run. Literally. So it's not that crazy. But to think that it can't run up to that level again, my God. And $5 just seems so conservative. I mean, if you look at ETH from the 2017 bull run, I mean, it had a more than a 2-fold multiplier, It sure as hell. I mean, from that cycle to wherever it peaked, I guess it was some point in 2021. From one cycle to the next, it had what? I think a little over a 3-fold increase because I'm using rough numbers here, admittedly, but I think it peaked somewhere around $1,500 in 2017 or early 2018. And then the next cycle, I believe it peaked in 2021, somewhere close to $4,800, I want to say. So to think that XRP couldn't at least triple, it's kind of ridiculous. So why couldn't it get, even if you're being, and some might think this is conservative, but $10, is that crazy to think that it might be possible? I don't think so. I don't think that's crazy at all. At the time I'm recording this, by the way, it's 3:02 a.m. Central Time. I'm up late. Saturday, September 21st, 2024. And it's the last day of summer. That makes me sad. I don't like days getting colder. I'm just saying. But as I record this, XRP is 58 cents. Bitcoin at 63,188 bucks. So mostly sideways action over the last 24 hours. Crypto Fear and Greed Index 54 out of 100, same as yesterday. So market participants feeling a little neutral there. At least they're not in fear. I don't take I'm not gleeful about those typical lemming retail speculators out there flying by the seat of their pants. I'm not gleeful about them being in fear, but it is silly that they get fearful. I also shared this post earlier in the evening. I wrote, I think it's cute that most speculators, traders, and chart guys have no idea that XRP has been outperforming almost all top 100 coins for over 3 months now, including Bitcoin and ETH. Maybe they'll figure it out once a gigantic green candle shows up for XRP against the dollar. Now, that I'm counting on. And when I say that the chart guys, by the way, have no idea, that's because I think most chart guys, and I don't know the total number of them, of course, I don't have that information, but I have this suspicion that most aren't even tracking it. Most are not giving a damn. Now, because, and then I keep seeing all these ones, once they do find out, once they finally take a look at XRP, they're like, oh, whoa. They're like, oh my God, this thing's going to blow. That's what I keep seeing from all sorts of analysts. And I come across all sorts of analysts that I haven't even heard of before talking about XRP for perhaps even the first time this market cycle. And I'm just watching their reactions. And they're having the same reactions as the reputable analysts that I regularly follow that talk about XRP. This thing gonna go. And I want to highlight this. Now, this is interesting, and if you're like me and you want your XRP to go, be aware of this. It is data that I think should put a little smile on your face. It is S&P 500 performance into and after initial Fed cuts. And I'm sharing this because if we have positive action in the stock market, especially if ultimately this leads to a greater breadth in the market, including the Russell 2000 with small cap stocks, which can go hand in hand, certainly. If this happens, which we very clearly want, it's good because the crypto asset class moves in tandem with what happens in the stock market. So let me give you some historical perspective here, right? Because I know there's this narrative that Fed rate cuts are almost always bad. And it's true that most of the time they're bad, but as I've been highlighting, if you get into a nuanced approach, what you will actually find is that most of the times there are cuts historically, strong majority of the time, it's in response to disaster territory. And so you can think about the dot-com boom and bust, the 2007 great financial crisis, and then the pandemic most recently several years ago. There's a few of the recent examples here. Yeah, there were rate cuts, and what correlated? Well, bad market activity. So I certainly acknowledge that. But what about the instances where we're not, what about the instances where a recession doesn't manifest and there is a Fed rate cut? What about those instances where there is no recession? So what this chart is showing you is, again, the S&P 500 performance into and after the initial Fed cuts dating back to the early 1970s. There are 7 such instances excluding recession instances. Excluding. So, because that's what you should want to know, okay? Again, I just highlighted a couple disaster examples, and we all know that, yeah, there's that correlation. It's not good. Well, okay, but what if you take out the disaster territories? What if you take those out with the ones where there weren't recessions because things weren't disastrously wrong? What can you expect after a rate cut? And so this is data. You need to be aware of this. This is, again, going back to the early 70s, all right? And so you can see that there's a gray so there are 7 instances. And then if you're looking at the screen where I'm circling my mouse right now, this is the average of all of the instances that are to the right, okay? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 instances highlighted going back to the 1970s. You can see the timeline at the bottom. The gray bar, we can mostly just ignore that because that's just showing activity for the 6 months leading up to the rate cut. But we're more interested in price performance after the rate cut, right? Well, we've got that. It's on your screen here. The next one here that looks like maybe a light blue type of color here, this, so there's 7 examples right here. And these are all ones excluding recession. And you can see that out of these 7 instances where there are rate cuts, 4 out of 7 times the S&P 500 was up after 1 week. 4 out of 7, okay, so most of the time it's up, but it's just 1 week. Is that really meaningful? I don't think it's that meaningful. What about a longer period of time? What about once there's a greater amount of time that has passed to allow for the economy to absorb the impact of the rate cut? What about that? Okay, well, we can look a month out. And so you can look at the next bar here, which looks like, I don't know what you'd call it. It's like a navy or a really dark purple. I don't know what this is. It's the one where I move my mouse here, though. But that's the 1 month. And it turns out that 5 out of the 7 instances that exist going back to the early 70s, 5 out of the 7 resulted in the S&P 500 being up. Okay, well, that's really good. A month, a little bit more data, but still, it's kind of a short time period. What if you go a full 3 months out? Well, that gets interesting. That's this light colored purple here, this bar right here where I'm moving my mouse. And that shows that for every single example going back to the early 1970s, each of the 7 examples, the S&P 500 has been up after 3 months. Every single instance, 7 out of 7. That is what this shows, with an average gain of 8% over the period. So that's what this on the left is. Again, if you're looking at the screen where I'm circling, that's what that shows. That's what this chart means. This was shared by Seth Golden. He's a hedge fund consultant, chief market strategist at Finham Group. And he wrote, "No recession, no landing equals good things for S&P 500. 3 months after first rate cut, S&P 500 higher every single time when there was not a recession that followed first rate cut. If you do not envision a recession by December, more than likely 5,700s is not the high for 2024. Now, of course, to be clear, if there's actually going, so if the people that say, hey, the market's actually, yeah, I mean, there's some stresses, but it's not like recession territory right now. If they're wrong and we enter a recession ASAP, then I will tell you this doesn't matter to us, because the environment we're in now would not be one of the examples on your screen. If we actually go into some hardcore recession right now, I will say, oh yeah, of course. Then it's not like what is on your screen right now. Of course, I would say that. So the question that you got to be asking yourself right now is, are we actually in a recession? Or going into something that's deep? Or do you expect that within the next 3 months even? Something disastrous, maybe like we saw from the dot-com boom and bust, or the global financial crisis, or with the pandemic. Are we going to see something on that scale in the next 3 months? I don't see reason to believe that's going to happen, certainly not in that timeline. Now, that's not to say we won't at some point in the future experience another recession. Of course we will. Is that on the table right now? I don't see it. For the next 3 months? And look, again, if this is the case, and if history plays out as it's telling us we should expect it to, what do you think this means for the crypto asset class? What do you think this means for XRP, which has been showing tremendous strength for months on end now? I'm just saying, I think that there's a lot of reason to be very optimistic about this. And in fact, take a look at this. This is a post from chart analyst Income Sharks. The chart on your screen here is the crypto total market cap excluding the top 10 coins by market cap. And so it's called Others. The chart is called Others. It's just all the coins excluding the top 10 coins by market cap. So XRP is not in this, but it's still kind of telling. I mean, if you're thrilled and excited about the concept of having an alt season in short order, this chart's your boy, okay? And so Income Sharks shared this with his 539,400 followers on X. He wrote, "Others breaking out. This is getting awfully close to where you are allowed to legally say alt season could have just started. Would like to see some more confirmation candles before people put in their 2 weeks notice." Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? Of course, don't quit the job just yet. You know, if you've got, even if you're in profit, if it's unrealized profit, still maybe just tap the brakes until you actually have it, and then consider the tax implications based on your geographic region. I'm just saying. But anyway, he's saying that he does think like this could be the signal. Hey, maybe it is actually breaking out. And certainly we have seen, after we got this most recent Fed rate cut, finally, after several years, and after over a year of just kind of moving sideways. In terms of what the Fed has done with the federal funds rate, the interest rate. As soon as that news broke, it went down 0.5%. Certain coins did start to pop, and I reported that right, as it was happening. So it's been days now, but still, that is a thing that has happened. And now he's showing, well, here's Others. Take it for what it's worth, folks. And I know there's a lot of people speculating, okay, it's not normal for the Fed to, reduce the federal funds rate by 0.5%. Normally expect 25 basis points, which is 0.25%. Normally you'd expect that. And then the 0.5% reduction is for times of crisis. but I'm not seeing the crisis. So why did they do that? Well, some are speculating that it's just because it's an election year. And I mean, I don't know. You can speculate all you want. And if there's something that we don't see, then I'll certainly acknowledge that and talk about it in the future. But I don't see it. And it is true that normally the Fed would do that under more dire circumstances. But just because they did that doesn't mean definitively that everything's about to fall apart. Maybe they recognize, hey, it would have been more ideal if we had done our first rate cut in July, and they're trying to play catch up. It's 2 months difference. Does the sky fall just because of that? I'm skeptical of that. So we'll see here. There's also this post from chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto, XRP. So this is XRP priced against Bitcoin. And so we are looking for a breakout here, but man, this thing's been looking good literally for over 3 months, about 3.5 months at this point, right? Pretty impressive, because historically XRP just goes down and down and down and down for years. But here we're showing signs of strength, and they're occurring exactly where history should tell us that we should expect them. That is something that is a very powerful actuality as far as I'm concerned. It's happening right when history says, yeah, this is where it went in the past. And here we are. Presumably the beginning phases of something absolutely fantastic. And we need time to play out so we can see if that's true. But I think it's really reasonable to hazard a guess that, yeah, that's where this is going. And so Mikey Bull Crypto sharing this XRP BTC chart, you can see how he's comparing it at previous points, previous cycles here with the relative strength index on the bottom and the trend lines that he drew here on the top. And he wrote, XRP, history doesn't always repeat itself, but often rhymes. It seems like 2017's similar move is about to happen this cycle. So XRP showing strength at the same time that Bitcoin's starting to pop. I don't know that this is the exact moment where it's actually going to break away. I'm not even going to play the game trying to guess if that's it, especially since I'm not a chart guy. But it's interesting seeing this. 3.5 months roughly of activity now from XRP. Very popular, reputable analyst Income Sharks saying, hey, looks like probably, though not certainly, but probably you've got others breaking out, which is every coin outside of the top 10. Let's just see what happens. I'm anticipating that the S&P 500 is going to be higher 3 months from now. That would be my for fun guess. And I'm going to guess that hopefully at least by then we'll start to see greater breadth of the market, including the stock market, but also for altcoins. I think that investors are going to go further out the risk curve. If I had to guess, twist my arm, hey, you must guess. That's my guess. And, I don't have the wildest conviction about when the Russell 2000 small caps and alts are going to take off, because in timing, it's just, I especially don't want to play that game. But if I was just guessing for fun, would it happen sooner than later? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens this year, just based on historic precedent. Just going by that. That's all I'm saying. So it's not a prediction. I'm just saying, yeah, if you look at historic precedent, which is useful to determine what might be probable for the future, then yeah, it'd be like a reasonable suspicion that, yeah, that might happen. So that's basically where I am. Will not be at all surprised to see some very fun activity for the fourth quarter, especially considering how long Bitcoin's been consolidating. And maybe the people that have been speculating that, hey, the reason we're seeing Bitcoin kind of trend sideways the way it is because it popped off sooner than it otherwise would have, given the nature of 4-year cycles, because of the excitement surrounding Bitcoin ETFs. It's a reasonable theory. I don't know for sure if that's true, but I've seen that postulated by some really smart people who actually have careers in finance, and maybe it is. And so maybe because of that, it came a little bit sooner, but liquidity on a global scale is what it is, had to trend sideways. But then as liquidity is increasing, there's signs of that forward, like especially the end part of this year. Yeah, I could buy that narrative. It could be. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm completely sold on that narrative, but it could be true. But it's either way, it looks like everything is just coming together. This is such an exciting time to be an XRP holder. XRP has never been so perfectly positioned since it went on its greatest run in history up to almost $4. But we're in another one of those moments where it's reasonable to believe that we could be on the cusp of that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.